Yeah, I got it.
All right, hello everyone. It's Monday, and it's Bob and Phineas. Great weekend this weekend, celebrating Mother's Day. How was your weekend, Phineas?
Not too bad. It was very peaceful weekend around here, and got a lot of chores around the house done, and got some stuff done for my mom as well. So that's good.
That's perfect. Yeah, my wife and I go out and take flowers and put on my mother's grave and my mother-in-law's grave each year, and it was nice to get out and spend some time in the sunshine and beautify their headstones with beautiful flowers. So always, kind of a somber moment when you get there and you kind of start to reflect back and stand around, with your thoughts for a few moments. But then once you leave, it always feels so good to know that, you went out and recognized that the contribution that your mother and mother-in-law, in my case, made on your life, and it really, really, just like I said, does your heart warm. It does it some good. So it's like,
Always good.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Always a good time to connect with the loved ones, both present and in the past as well, and share the love and remind yourselves as to what's important while we're here. So
Absolutely.
yep.
We've all got a mama, whether she's still earthly bound or heavenly bound.
Mhm.
It's still, for most of us, I think, grown adults, we look back at our childhood, and those were such special memories. And you think about all the hours and hours and days and weeks and years you spend with your parents, and particularly your mother, who is usually the one who does most of the nurturing when you're small. So it's always a great day to come together as a nation and celebrate the mothers of this world.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It looks like
Anyway,
we've got
got
quite
a
a few.
good crowd.
Yeah, I see we've got Santa Doug and uh, Santa Robert from your neck of the woods, Bob. Um, Paul Anderson from my neck of the woods.
Yes, sir.
Betsy Modzieski, the Tooth Fairy, and Santa Doug from Illinois. So, and thank you, Santa Doug. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out in Tuesday Night Live land. Indeed, yes.
Got Bill Coates over on YouTube joining us. It's always good to have the guys on YouTube,
Yep.
and always jump in. Bill Gorbett is with us.
Hi,
Santa
Bill.
Jerry from the middle of the country there in M.O., Missouri. Missouri, as the Missourians say. And Sean's with us. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Sean. Mr. Claus Vintage. Looking forward to tonight's show. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yep.
New day, new shows. Love it, love it, love it.
Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. Hey, you got to admit, Sean, show the platform, the StreamYard style platform, the controlled studio style platform really suits her show well. It's been great since she's joined us on Mondays, and looking forward to watching her grow. And her shows have already taken off. The uh, the viewership has been stellar, and we're happy with that. Sue Ratloff is with us today. Hey, Mr. Trivia, how are you, man? You got some echo. Let me turn my speakers down, see if that helps any. Is that any better, AJ?
Let's see if it's better. I think it
Sometimes I
is.
have to remember to turn my volume down on my speakers, otherwise my microphone tends to have a chance of picking it up. There you go. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate that, man. Diane Vian is with us. Hello, Diane. Rick Rector is joining us. Hey, good group today. I hope, as we said in the beginning of the show, that everyone had a great Mother's Day weekend. And, you know, Phineas, we like to talk about the weather when we start this show off. And I tell you what, man, they are forecasting record high temperatures here for this upcoming week. We're looking at our first 100-degree day coming up here in a couple of days. Very unusual for May. It's usually mid-June before we start seeing temperatures like that. So running them about 4 weeks ahead of time if we get that this weekend as they have predicted.
Woof, that's going to be quite warm and quite hot. So, not not
Yeah.
not envying you with that at all, Bob. So we're looking at weather in the 60s and 70s here where I'm at. So
That's perfect weather for those of us that live in the South. We love the 60s and 70s. 80s are okay. The humidity down here from the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want to call it. Some folks have jumped on one bandwagon. Others are holding back for the original name. We were taught in school as Gulf of Mexico. So for us Texans, we call it the Gulf of Texas. Anyway, I'm just funning y'all. Anyway, looks like Nightbot got our weather for mesquite conditions are partly cloudy with temperatures of 83 at the present moment. The wind is blowing from the northwest at 0 mile an hour. That means there's no wind. Why is it saying it's blowing if it's 0? And the current humidity is 39%, which is rather low for us. So it's not real bad at 83 out there. But you get into the 80s and 90s and the humidity creeps up and it gets awful sticky down here in the South.
I can imagine. Yes.
And Bill Coates has put up and asked the bot about his weather. Morgan Point Resort, Texas, further south from the DFW area. Conditions are sunny with temperatures of 86 with the wind blowing from the west at 4 miles per hour and the current humidity is 33%. So relatively the same, not too bad, but humidity is a few percentage points lower, so that does make a difference.
A bit more of a breeze too, I see. So
And the breeze does blow that moisture away from your skin, which is nice. It's very nice.
Very nice.
Okay. Hey, you know what? We got our inspirational message of the week ready and loaded. And so let's hear from Santa B real quick, and we'll be right back on the other side.
Let me get situated here.
Ho, 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 and happy day, my friends. Santa B here with you again today. And today I want to talk a little bit about some of the inspirations that I've had. Back at North Pole Cornerstones this year, Phineas the Elf introduced us to his friend, the Baby Yeti. And as you know, we've been going through some of the development of his new Yeti puppet. While we were there, I saw Phineas do this, and I was so knocked out by this puppet, I had to have one. So I went online and I bought a Yeti puppet. It was not the Baby Yeti that Phineas had. But when I got this puppet, I started to look at it and I started to think about it. And even though I am not a puppeteer, I got inspired. And I came up with some stories about Yoshi the youngest Yeti. And I started telling those stories on TikTok. And I still have fun doing that. And it's amazing when we think about where we think our inspirations are going to lead us versus where they actually lead us to. Today, I just want to encourage you to be open to wherever the creative spirit leads you and stay connected to your Claus mind. Be blessed, be well. I love you all.
That's pretty cool, Penny. It's pretty cool.
Yes, indeed. That surprised me when Santa B introduced me to Yoshi the youngest Yeti, and it was really fun to see how much he took to having a Yeti in his household as well. So, but
when you think about the message of the North Pole and the lack of animals at the North Pole, opposed to say penguins, for example, with the Antarctica having all the penguins down there and all, the Yeti is a perfect creature to bring into your storytelling as a North Pole storyteller, Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, elf. It doesn't matter. It just fits well with the whole North Pole things of thinking about what should be at the North Pole. Let me put it that way.
Pole, exactly. You can talk about the reindeer, you can talk about the polar bears, you can talk about the elves, maybe a snowy owl or a bunny or two, like a snow
Arctic
hare.
fox maybe might wander up that way now and then.
But there's lots of opportunities out there to aid in your storytelling. I know Mrs. Claus Vintage and her Santa, they talked about their polar bear this past year, and and they had a wonderful time with telling stories of their polar bear. So there's lots of opportunities. And when I saw the baby Yeti, I knew exactly what that could be. And then when I got the bigger Yeti, when I got Adme made, I realized that I had this character that could be larger than life and part of my North Pole story, and it's been fun working with everybody to develop. But thank you very much, Santa B, for showing what can be done with the right inspiration. Thank you.
Yeah, and taking a step back a little bit and looking at 15 years ago, let's just drop back 15 years. Pretty much everyone was looking at puppets as you had to be a ventriloquist. You had to be able to sell the fact that animal, creature, puppet, whatever you want to call it, may be, it is actually doing the voice by throwing your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not that many people that are that gifted to be able to be able to do that, and it is something that can be developed over time. It's not anything that nobody can't do. It just takes a lot of time to develop that ventriloquist style. But man, today we've just thrown that clean out the window, as a lot of different things in the Santa community has evolved. That has evolved also, and I am so happy to see it because, again, hand puppets of any size, sort, fashion, style is an icebreaker, and I really do that the children see that and instantly take to that animal, to that puppet.
Yep.
Okay, are you ready to let's get into this something burger and see where it takes us today?
Yeah, I just got off a fast. I'm feeling a bit peckish and would love a burger.
Well, and you know what? And being Mother's Day and talking about backstories, this is a good one.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
So as yesterday was Mother's Day, and as Bob said, when we're talking about our backstories, we're often asked questions that are a little off kilter and a little not Christmas centric. So say you were out and you are a real bearded Santa and you happen to be wearing a red shirt on Mother's Day or the day after Mother's Day, and you got a little believer who walked up to you and said, "Hey, Santa, as yesterday was Mother's Day, what did you get Mrs. Claus for Mother's Day and why?" You need to have an answer for that question. So what would your answer be? Now, as Phineas, my response would be, well, I'm lucky enough that I've got two moms at the North Pole. I've got my actual mother, who is an elf, and I was able to get her a wonderful present as an elf, and I managed to cook her a lovely meal and get her and my dad a nice dinner out together away from the toy factory, and they were able just to take some time off and have a good rest. But then I've also got Mrs. Claus, who raised me because I am so big as an elf and they didn't want me hurting the other elves. And I was able to help Mrs. Claus in the house, and I got her some beautiful flowers and set up a nice flower arrangement of her favorite flowers and plants inside the house. And I also helped Mr. Claus, Santa, with his gift for Mrs. Claus as well, because we want to make sure that both the bosses are happy. So that would be what my response would be as Phineas.
Yeah, great response. Again, many of us can use the fact that we have a Mama Claus and then we have a Mrs. Claus. So, if you want to get that deep into it with smaller children, and one thing that children really love to do is make s'mores. So, you could always say, well, our Mrs. Claus just loves to take the sleigh, our little cutter sleigh, our two-seater, and go out beyond, the rim of the North Pole and look out across the frozen tundra and build a small fire and make s'mores. That's her favorite thing to do on Mother's Day. And the children just love the s'mores part of it. It reaches a point that they get excited and start wanting to tell you about s'mores and different things. So, you can incorporate anything into your backstory, though. It's just all of what you want to imagine in your head and in which direction you want to take it. Just remember, though, guys, whatever backstory you develop or whatever situation, try to keep it the same. Don't go get too far off of kilter because you may have the same child, in my case, come to see you 2 or 3 years in a row, or they may skip a year or two and they remember what you've told them, and so you don't want to throw them a curveball and tell them something totally different from what you might have told them the last year or 2 years before. So keep your backstories real, close to your heart, something that you can remember. And as we've all mentioned time and time again, if you incorporate real life things that actually happen in your life, and then it's real. It's part of what is in your memory and what you are able to sell, you might say.
And I think it also helps, like just the fact that your story of Santa and Mrs. Claus going out together for a sleigh ride, looking out over the tundra, and it just sort of provides sort of like, hey, there is romance after all these, centuries of love and everything like that, and that the two of you want to have some quiet time together, and so that sort of shows what the relationship is with Santa and Mrs. Claus. So that's all.
And outside of the North Pole Village itself,
Mhm.
the tundra is really a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful landscape, but it's kind of boring to children. So you gotta tie something in there that will grab their attention, and the fire, the sunsets, and the s'mores are all things they can relate to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see what we've got as far as an answer to that question. We don't have very many responses yet. We do have Sean White commenting on Santa B's message and that she loves his message, and quite impressed by that. I do know Sean has adopted a baby Yeti of her own as well. So there is one in Mrs. Claus Vintage's North Pole as well. Kevin Bernhardt commented that he loved the fact that you can use a squeaky to give your own creature a voice. It doesn't need to have a human voice. David asked to hear the question again. So David, the question was, say you were out just after Mother's Day, and a believer walked up to you and asked Santa, what did you do for Mrs. Claus for Mother's Day? What did you get her, and what did you do for Mrs. Claus for Mother's Day? And that is what the question was.
And while David comes up with the keys to make those words come out of his head, I want to mention to Kevin, I think that he may be speaking. He says he loves the reel on how to use the squeaky. I think he may be referring to the one that I shared recently on our Tuesday Night Live page of Gordon Bailey with Gordo the sock monkey, which was a simple, very small, handy, easy for me. And Phineas can attest to this. During our Sunday at North Pole Cornerstones, I wore this in my belt, and it serves two purposes. Number one, it's eye level for most smaller children. It's the first thing they see, and then they look up at Santa from there. But this is what they're going to notice first. Number two, it helps keep your belt buckle straight across. As many of you may have struggled or may have known in the past, I usually have a little polar bear that I wear at the mall to help keep mine straight. But you have a single layer of leather on one side of your buckle, and then you have the loop that loops around the bar, plus the tongue. So you got 3 layers of leather on this side, which makes your belt buckle kick at an angle, and that drives me crazy. So I put the little bear, or in the case of North Pole Cornerstones, the sock puppet into the back of the belt between my trousers and my belt, which kicks the belt straight, the belt buckle straight, and helps hold it. Serves 2 purposes.
Yep. And I will agree with Kevin that having a squeaker handy is always a good thing because it's so unobtrusive and you can just carry it in the palm of your hand and nobody will know for the better.
Yeah, and while you're carrying on a conversation with a child, you can always slip your hand in your pocket, grab it, put it in position in your palm,
Mhm.
pull it out, and use it in any case. We have at the mall the strollers that the mall rents.
Mhm.
And up until recently, we had fire trucks, and they were either single seaters or they were double seaters, and the upper seat was higher than the lower seat, but they both had little steering wheels. And so I use mine for years now at the mall to walk over and push where the horn would be on a normal steering wheel in the center, and squeak it and make the fire truck squeak. And I tell
Yep.
them, people get in your way here at the mall, just reach over and hit your horn and tell them beep beep, get out of the way. And they'll stand there and they'll try to make it squeak, and I'll tell them, no, 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 you're not pushing it the right way. And this can go on for 5 to 10 minutes, depends on if they get their parents involved, because then mom or dad wants to try to push it, and I didn't know that was there. But a 50-cent squeaker can bring so much
Yep.
pleasure, not only to the children, but to Santa's heart as well. So
It is a very quiet day.
yeah, we got a good audience. I guess everybody didn't have anything to.
Yes, Miss Claus is on the naughty list.
Uh-oh. Angela says maybe Mrs. Claus on the naughty list.
Or it could be that Santa will soon be on the naughty list.
Yeah, well, again, it's all in the imagination. There's anything that you can think in your head, you can put into words, you can convey to the children, to the families. And what I have found too, Phineas, at my mall again, is how intensely the parents listen to your stories. The more compound the story is, the more real life things that you build into your stories. If they're, simplicity is fine
Yep.
if you're in a time crunch. But early in the season, those first 2 or 3 weeks before the lines really start to get long, you'll have periods of slow where you may not have anybody in line for 10 minutes. And
Mhm.
for me, I entertain myself by being able to grab someone and get into a really heavy story about the cookies, or about something that the elves have done or something that the reindeer have done, and just go on and on and on about it. And I find that the parents are listening as intent, sometimes more so than the children. The children get
Yep.
distracted after a few minutes.
And that's why I'm asking these questions as part of our show, is because I'm trying to get our listeners to think outside the box
Yes, sir.
about what they're doing and why they're doing it. So it will help them be prepared for when they do get those weird questions, what type of vacuum cleaner do you have at the North Pole, or something like that, because you've got a child on the autism spectrum who's really into cleaning, or so there's always going to be something out of left field that you're going to need to be prepared for and have a plausible answer for, or a plausible answer for. So
All right, David's come through for us. Let's see what he has to say, Phineas.
So for Mother's Day, Santa Claus surprised Mrs. Claus with a relaxing day off from the North Pole hustle. He took over all the elf managing and cookie baking duties. Excellent. Good for you, Santa.
Yeah, exactly. Sean's got one for you.
The elves know how much Mrs. Claus loves cannolis. They made me a real perfect cannoli, also an old type flower called a Rose of Sharon plant. I love the vintage look of the flowers. So
Flowers are good. Our granddaughter went out and bought individual flowers and arranged them in vases. One for my daughter, one for my wife, and got to be careful with what flowers you buy. We found out after she had put those together that one of the flowers that she put in there was very toxic to cats. So that might be a message for any holiday where you bring flowers into your house, fresh cut flowers. If you have animals, make sure you know what you're buying and make sure that you do not bring anything toxic in. One of the flowers that she put in each vase was highly toxic to cats. 1 grain of pollen can kill a feline.
Eesh.
And so we had to do some deep cleaning and throw out those particular flowers. And the vases are still beautiful, still have multiple flowers in them. with greenery and baby's breath and that sort of thing, if you know what baby's breath is. But be careful what you bring into your house.
Yeah, particularly as holiday performers and people who for whom Christmas, because poinsettias are one of the worst ones actually for cats. So they even just touching them will cause like a rash or an allergy to a cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Things happen for a reason, Phineas, and I'm a firm believer in that there's something beyond us, if you want to call it spiritual or whatever realm you want to get into, whatever your mind goes to when you talk about these kind of things. But she had spent time putting these vases together, arranging the flowers, beautiful, beautiful arrangements, and showed it to both my daughter and my wife. And then she walked back to her room, and a TikTok video popped up talking about lilies and how toxic one grain of pollen can be. And youngsters nowadays know how to research. She jumped on and started doing research. She come in here with tears in her eyes, and she was afraid she was doing harm to her kitties. And she has two that sleeps in her room with her. And so again, we had to backtrack real quick and correct the wrong and make everybody feel better. And so far, so good. Nobody's gotten sick. So
touch wood, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think that's all the responses we've got at this time. So if any others pop up, we'll come back and readdress that when we get there. But I think let's just go ahead. Let's jump into our SantaClausette.org trivia. We'll be back on the other side of this one here.
Hey everyone, Angela Mack here for Bob and Phineas Live, the show about nothing. Season 4 of Bob and Phineas is brought to you by santascloset.org, where you can find all your accessories for the discriminating Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the elves. Visit Santa Wade's website at santascloset.org today, where they are known for delivering unique, value-packed Santa and Mrs. Claus accessories since opening in 2004. The goal has always been to provide both a superior customer experience at a tremendous value. Their products are fairly priced, and Santa Wade strives to bring many different products to the Claus community. Visit the website and make your next season a truly special one. This is Angela Mack reminding you all to catch our show every Monday at 3 p.m. Central, presented by TNL Network Productions. Thanks for watching. Now let's get back to Bob and Phineas in the TNL studios and today's Monday Santa's Closet Trivia.
Big thank you to Wade and Scarlett Coffin over at the SantaCloset.org, and happy belated Mother's Day to you, Scarlett, if you're watching or if you watch later. All right, Phineas.
So today's trivia question is a birthday trivia question. And the question is, which date in the year is the least common birthday date? And which date is the most common birthday date? So what is the least common birthday date in each year? And what is the most common birth date in the year?
Yeah, some folks said that our trivia questions were getting too hard, too long, too complex with different places to have to go to find the compound answers that we were causing. So we went with a fairly simple one today. I think you can put in maybe half a dozen words to get both answers within moments. So let's see who jumps on this one first and gets it correct. And it may surprise some folks on both counts, the least and the most. The most is kind of, if you count 9 months, you kind of see where that comes from. Let's put it that way, and we'll leave it at that. So
yes, indeed.
Anyway, looks like we got what's the matter, Charlie? He says, darn. Does that mean he's in his timeout? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Charlie's in timeout.
Charlie is in timeout, yeah.
Hey, Charlie, at least over here we only do 45 days, not the 65 that the Kringle brothers are doing. So that's not quite as bad. I don't know where they come up with that 65 at, but every time they say it, I kind of chuckle because they want to blame it on me, but I don't think I ever told them 65. But anyway. Let's see. AJ's got some answers coming in there, but they're not both correct, AJ.
Nope.
They're not both correct.
And
All
Charlie
right,
is just
guys, y'all work on that. What's that, Phineas?
Charlie is just champing at the bit because he knows all the answers. So
We know he knows the answers. He's up there with AJ.
Yeah, he's up there with AJ. That's right. We're going to have to get him a nickname that rivals AJ as Mr. Trivia. Hey, Mr. Know-It-All. Just kidding, Charlie. We love you, man. AJ says leap year. No, that wouldn't be leap year. Kevin's got an answer coming. All right, well, guys, y'all work on that. We're going to go ahead and move along. We're halfway through the show already. We've got things to cover here, so let's jump off into our two promo videos, and we'll be back again on the other side. Now, that's something that Clauses know a lot about, or a little bit about, maybe. Boots and entertainers insurance. It's important to have both.
yes, indeed.
Be it be it a Santa Claus, a Mrs. Claus, an elf. The folks over at Caboose can make you anything you want. Whatever you can dream up, they can make it. 4 generations of bootmakers there. So, when we had them on the show a few weeks back, Phineas, I kind of had first started writing out some things, and I had put shoe cobblers on there, or cobblers in general. And I got to researching that, as I like to do, because I try to be correct on what I'm spewing. And they're actually boot makers. Cobblers is a whole different had a whole different definition to it, to what they do as far as bootmakers go. But anyway, and then reach out for entertainers insurance over at Larry Talbot, another one that's been doing it for 30, almost 40 years, and knows a lot about it. Grew up in the industry, insurance industry. Magician, sells magic tricks, sells insurance. Great guy, Larry Talbot. Okay, we still don't have a exact announcement on MP Cornerstones. We are still negotiating with a certain hotel, and we've got it down to where we're mainly happy. There's a couple of verbiages that we need to get corrected before we sign the contract. We've been chomping at the bit for 6 to 7 weeks to let this news out and get started on letting folks know about our great curriculum and guest presenters that we will have again at Cornerstones this coming up 2026 year. And our date will be changing a little bit if things stay on track where they're at now. We'll be pushing back a couple of weeks, and once we get that date nailed, we'll let you know. Okie dokie. Let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about Santa Nana. Phineas, you ready?
Okay, so coming up in this next upcoming week in Medina, Ohio, join Deanna Golden and Judith Broderick with Santa Nana Holiday University in Medina, Ohio. Once again, that is close to Castle Noel, and they have a lovely space there, and which will be celebrating Christmas after the Holiday University is done. And if you are closer to the Chicago area, the Chicago, Schaumburg, Illinois, has been rescheduled to September 18th through 21st. And once again, join Judith Broderick and Deanna Golden at Santa Nana University in Schaumburg, Illinois. Coming up in July in Branson, Missouri, our dear friend the Clown is hosting School of Santas in Branson, July 17th through 20th, with the keynote instructor Lee Andrews. Mrs. Claus Vintage, Sean White, will also be there talking as well. So lots of wonderful events, lots of opportunities, and apparently some pretty darn good eats too. So.
Absolutely. You're going to have Cherry Hill programs there with representatives. You're going to have Larry Talbot there doing his presentation if things go as planned. Going to have some great entertainment. Have a couple of the in-house entertainments coming back for a second year. Did a phenomenal job last year with the entertainment there in the conference center. 2 new shows to go to that we have not had the opportunity to do in the past years with the School of Santas, and Lee Andrews, quality Santa, quality human being, family man, and a great clown. And of course, many of you know he has taken over the pros nose line of products. You might talk a little bit more about that, Phineas. You know more about it than I do.
Definitely, Lee has taken over Pronos and Proface, and so he has the camera-ready makeup kits for Santas. He's got a new formula for the eyebrow pencils to whiten your eyebrows, as well as all of the products that you used to be able to get from Pronos. I don't know if he's going to be doing the boots that Leon was doing because the person who made the boots is also retired. So I suspect Lee will be sticking with the makeup supplies, the eyebrow whitening, and the noses. So really, really great opportunity there. And I'm sure he will have his product and supplies at SOS in Branson. So see what's coming up.
Only 66 days away from opening up there. Jumping back up to the Santa Nana, Medina, Ohio. Many of you may know, you may not. Deanna Golden and Kim Golden live in Arizona part of the year. The other part of the year, they stay in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where they have a place also. And they traveled a couple of weeks ago up to their summer home in Michigan, Upper PA, and so I believe they left this morning on their way down to Medina, and Judy lives in Wisconsin, so I'm sure she's traveling today. They'll be setting up tomorrow, and class opens up the day after that, which is the 14th. So if you have not yet signed up and you're thinking about doing it, now is the time to do it. Jump in there. Grab one of the remaining seats for an excellent class with Judy and Deanna at Santa Nana Holiday University.
Yes,
all
indeed.
right. Have we getting anywhere closer to a winner, Angela? Or
Just got a winner.
got a winner finally? Okay, we had a lot of great guesses going on out there, and backwards and forth on different dates. But we do have a winner, so we'll catch that when we get down to that point in the show. We want to talk about our upcoming guest for tomorrow night. We just mentioned Cherry Hill Programs was going to be in Branson this year. They will be our guest tomorrow night. We will have Ruby Wright, Becky Gilstrap, Andy, and
Terry
Spice. Andrea Spice. I was trying to think of Andrea's last name. And Terry Thomas on the show tomorrow night. Gosh, I like to mess that up. Anyway, those of you who made it to Santa Family Reunion saw all 4 of those ladies there. They had a big contingency this year, a really nice booth, and lots of folks took advantage of their free photo in character. And that's something that Cherry Hill does at a lot of the events they go to, and we just want to say thank you to all the folks at Cherry Hill Programs. I'm a Cherry Hill Santa, so not to mention those folks every chance I get. Okay, now it's time to let's get down to business and do some digging deeper. You ready?
I am ready to
Here we
shovel.
go. Here we go.
So over the past few weeks, I've been talking about developing a character for a Yeti puppet, and I went through my process for creating the character, and we're building Admi's character together, and we'll get back to working with Admi probably next week or so. But I wanted to explain how that process worked for me, Phineas. Now, when I was asked to portray Phineas when Santa David was sitting next to me in a business meeting, and he slid a note to me stating, "I'm doing bigger events as Santa, and I need an elf. Will you be that elf?" And my reply was, let me think about it. Anyway, so I thought about it, and here I am 8 years later as Phineas. So I didn't just dive in and create an elf character. I didn't, just dive in and get the Ruby's tunic and tights, because ain't nobody want to see my legs in spandex. I'm sorry. Nor did I want to take Will Ferrell's character from the movie Elf, or also Bernard from the Santa Claus or whatever. So I needed to create an elf that was uniquely me. And so what I did was I began applying what I learned for character development as an actor, as a performer with Cirque du Soleil, Disney, and Blue Man Group, and applied that to my elf character. And I took you through that with Admi. So I started out researching the history of elves and the folklore behind elves, and did a deep dive into that, because a lot of people think of elves strictly as Christmas characters, when in fact they're probably one of the oldest folkloric characters that have become involved with Christmas over the years. And I did teach a session on this at North Pole Cornerstones this past year. And I could probably, I was given 45 minutes. I could probably go on for 2 or 3 hours on the history of elves. But I looked at elves throughout different cultures, such as Middle East and India have characters that are close to elves. Polynesia and Hawaii actually have the Menehunas, who are a form of elven or fey character. So I started with that. And then I began looking at basically where the elf became related to Christmas and how the elf became related to Christmas. So I looked at the modern Christmas folklore with respect to the elves, and it really wasn't until the 1800s where elves got related to Christmas, particularly the story of the shoemaker and the elves, and where all of that came from. And then the next modern linkage was, of course, A Visit from St. Nicholas, or 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And I began doing some research about that. And then Pamela McCall has this wonderful book about 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, 200 years of history of it. And those two sources, plus the artwork of Thomas Nast, resulted in what we view as the elf today. So I looked at that, and then I began approaching the elf from pop culture, Herbie the elf in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Buddy the elf from Elves, the elves that appeared in the Santa Claus, how the elves appear in the Christmas Chronicles and all the more modern Santa movies and stuff like that. And that is how I researched Phineas's background and where he fits in historically and culturally as the elf. And then I had to come up with a reason why a 5'8", 250-pound guy is an elf, and why that fits in, and how that fits in with the North Pole, how that relates to Santa and Mrs. Claus. So you'll see that the stuff that I was doing with Add Me the Yeti, you know, taking a look at my physicality. Why am I who I am? Why am I bigger and different than all the other elves when you think that the elves are 3 or 4 feet tall, or like those little snitches that sit on shelves and narc on everybody from November 1st through Christmas? And then I researched the history of elves. And then I researched how elves fit into pop culture and Christmas culture. And then I began weaving it all together to create the backstory for Phineas. And since I created Phineas in 2017, I have been continually to write that story, to continue that story, to build things into his character. And what happened was I created a foundation that I've been building upon. And then when Santa David and I continued to work, we began building our related history together and our related backstory. And what we're doing is we're telling a big, long story over the years. And it doesn't have to be detailed or anything like that. It just has to be something that is relatable, provides connection with yourself and the other Christmas characters that you're working with, such as the work that I've been doing with Mrs. Claus Vintage, and the fact that I treat Mrs. Claus Vintage like a mother, but I don't call her mom because she isn't really my mom. She was the person who helped raise me, but at the same time, I'm not familiar enough to call her Jessica, which is her first name. But so I call her Mrs. Claus out of respect, even though she is kind of sort of Phineas's mom. But Phineas's mom is actually the elf who brought Phineas into this world. So that is becoming part of my story, just as the Yeti is becoming part of my story, the baby Yeti, and Adme will become part of my story eventually. And I've got Bjorn the polar bear, and we will introduce you to him at some point as well. He's a larger than life polar bear character, once again made by the same puppet maker from that. But this is all going into telling a story. And anytime I come up with something new or interesting that just sort of clicks and makes me go, hey, that's awesome, I will add it to my book that I carry around. And I do believe I've shown it before. As Bob said, keep it to brand. And here it is. Here's Phineas's biography. And so it's something that I can keep going and just move forward and move the character forward. And that is the part of backstory is it's not a whole pile of research or anything major. It's just the little things that you say as your character. So if you were Mrs. Claus, you would look up where Mrs. Claus fits in folklore, where Mrs. Claus fits in history, what her first mention was, Goody Claus Saves Christmas, where she is with the Man Who Saved Christmas, with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where she was in the Santa Claus, where she was in the Christmas Chronicles, the whole 9 yards. And you can choose to use that stuff, or you can take the parts of it that sit with you and your character and your persona, what makes you comfortable. Lots of Santas. Santa's got loads of backstory. And what you choose to take is entirely up to you, what you're comfortable with, because you can go with the Father Christmas end of things. You could go with the St. Nicholas and the miracles performed by St. Nicholas, and combine them all together to create who you are as a persona. So lots of options. You don't have to use them all. Just be consistent, remain true to yourself and who you are as a person and as a portrayer, as well as what you want to present to your believers and the people that you interact with on a daily business, because it will help you get hired again. It will help you interrelate with people. It will help you connect with people. And it will provide a more believable experience and keep them believing that much longer. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Sean says she loves to keep up on Phineas's stories so that she knows how the character and knows the your character, and in turn can tell the children all season. Great point there. Kane Smith didn't know he was out of time. Hey, Kane, there's two things, brother. Get you some post-it notes, sticky ones, and put your timeout coming out of date and stick it on your computer corner or something where you can see it, or mark it in your calendar. That way you'll know, brother. Or ask Nancy from the very beginning and let her get you an answer before the question comes out.
Charlie Johnson said he puts a note in his calendar telling him when he's out of jail, so out of trivia jail. So
yep, that's what Charlie says. Fantastic. Good point, Charlie. Yeah, Kane, that way you can compete, brother. You know, get your name in the hat for that scholarship for North Pole Cornerstones. It's a $459 value there. So you want to definitely do that. You know, Phineas, you had mentioned about doing your presentation at NPC back in February, and the time was less than what you could have done. And again, this is just between you and I and Deanna. If you want to continue that, or you want to jump off into something different, that's something we still need to talk about for the upcoming sessions that we'll be doing.
I'm all ears. Let me know.
I like it either way. We want you to do what makes you happy, because what makes you happy makes us happy. Odie. Now, I did say on the trivia question that it was easier. I didn't say it was trickier because I didn't want to give away anything there. But AJ was the first one to jump on leap year, which is a good point, but it's the rarest. And we were looking for the least common and the most common.
Mm-hmm.
Again, verbiage matters. So, what is the least common birth date, Phineas?
Ironically, the least common for Christmas performers is December 25th.
Isn't that something? And the most common?
The most common is September 9th.
Again, do your math on that one, and you'll see what.
Happy New Year.
Good way to put it. I was trying to figure out how I was going to put that. But you nailed it right there for sure. Happy New Year. Yes, sir. That is correct. And our winner is Sean White. I saw her answer pop up, and I thought she was the first one to get it correct. And she also was the one that mentioned about the rarest being leap year, February 29th. Good job, Sean. Name goes on the hat for that free scholarship.
Congratulations, Sean.
And yes, throw me in a PM your shirt size, and we'll get that over the way and get you a T-shirt on the way. I think that's what he has given away right now, his T-shirt. So, all right. You know what? We don't want to forget to talk about our TNL Network Production 2025 list of shows, because we got some great shows that air 4 nights a week. I tell you what, any night of the week that you are at home, and I don't know about you, Phineas, but I've got where I watch more YouTube than I do regular network television. To me, network television is a thing that has almost become a dinosaur in our household. We like to watch the YouTube. Gives you so many more options with YouTube. You get new content. You can always subscribe to your favorites, and which please subscribe to all of our shows if you would. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But subscribe to your normal ones that you want to keep up with week in and week out, and follow their stories. And then there's always the suggestive column where YouTube is suggesting new videos to you. And I find a lot of really cool stuff on YouTube, informative, entertaining. And so again, any night of the week, you can find something 4 nights a week. You want to watch TNL. The others, you can find things to watch on those days too.
And I do note that all of the archival Monday live shows have been uploaded to the YouTube channel as well because of
Hey.
Facebook erasing all of the lives.
They sure have. And there was a reason when Angela took over from Ron Lamb as producer. We kind of started from that point forward on the shows. And then when Randy came in and took over on Mondays for Barry, we really only uploaded everything from Randy forward onto YouTube. And so Angela has spent countless hours going back and picking up all those shows all the way back to the beginning of the Bob and Barry show and uploaded those to YouTube. And they're getting hits. People are watching them. And that does my heart good because great content there. A chance to go back and see Barry, go back and see some of Ron's work on the Tuesday show. And, everyone that has been a part of the TNL platform from the very beginning up to current date, kudos to everyone because we've taken a vision that I had and it has grown immensely and more than I could ever hope for. I had a feeling that we would hit on something somewhere down the line, but to think that we've got all these shows that are hits that viewership is up on week in and week out, viewership grows on all these shows. And that's a testament to the content, the folks who are putting these on, the TNL family, and Angela, our producer, who helps tremendously with keeping things flowing here. So this afternoon, we have the Claus Connect with Sean White, and her guest will be Santa Bill Barnsley. That's right now on Monday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. Catch Sean's show tonight. You will not be disappointed. Tomorrow night, we have TNL Cherry Hill programs, as was mentioned, with Ruby, Becky, Andy, and Terry. It's going to be a great show. We always like to do a little bit of fun questions with the girls and kind of get warmed up, get to know them a little bit. We've had Becky and Ruby on year after year, and so we throw Andy and Terry a few questions, Becky and Ruby a few questions, and then we get down into the business. And take it from there, Phineas.
Coming up on the 14th, Wednesday night, is the Kringle Brothers and their show. They will be hosting Kringle Time at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on the 14th. And coming up on Thursday, the 15th, is Santa's Magical Fellowship Group with Santa Mel. The regular evening of fellowship starts at 6 p.m. Central. And then at 7 p.m. Central, Polar Opposites with Santa Jamie and Santa J Mac will be kicking off.
That's right. That will be episode 6 for those guys. And their subject is Clauses under the spotlight, kids versus Clauses. For those who have caught Polar Opposites, it's exactly what the show title says. J-Mac takes one side of a category topic, whatever their subject matter may be for the night, and Jamie takes the other, and they hash it back and forth. They bring the audience in to give their views and their thoughts on the topic for the night. So this time, Clauses under the spotlight, kids versus Clauses. It'll be an interesting show. You don't want to miss that. That follows Santa's Magical Fellowship Group on Thursday night. And I might say the Kringle Brothers may have a little bit different look this week. I haven't had a chance to go over and look. I will let the cat out of the bag, though. StreamYard has increased their rates extremely. Like everything else that's going up, but there's some things, for instance, hotel, food and beverage, hotel rates have gone up immensely since last year. So has StreamYard. So the Kringle Brothers are trying a new platform out. It is a carbon copy from what we can tell of StreamYard. So it may look a little different. It may not, but we're excited to watch Kringle Time with Kringle Brothers and see how the new platform's going to work out, because this is probably the one that we're all switching over to here once our subscription time is up for each program.
And the Kringle Brothers will be talking about lifelong learning on the 14th. So that includes learning new platforms for streaming, apparently, too. So
Yes, I think so. Yeah, Michael Howell had invited me to take a tour with him this last week, but I have been extremely busy and have not had the time to catch up with him on that. But I know that I trust what they're doing, because they know exactly where we're all at, and what we wanted out of StreamYard from the beginning, and where our programs are going for the future. So tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun for 2025, all powered by TNL Network Productions. Great group of folks that have come together to put these shows on for you. We work really hard. It's time consuming, but we do it because we love the Claus community. We love being able to share and teach and mentor. And that's what this platform has always been about and will always be about. So catch some of our shows. We appreciate you very much. All right, I don't think we have any questions in the comments that's popped up, do we?
Well, Kane Smith just wanted to comment that he's enjoyed watching the Bob and Barry shows. He didn't know they existed, and he's quite enjoying them. So glad that that is helpful to you, Kane. And we are grateful for Angela for all the work that she's doing behind the scenes to make this happen and to make sure that our legacy remains online.
That's right. And I had mentioned last week before last, I believe, that Facebook had changed their way of doing things. We in the past have been able to house those videos over on the TNL group, and now they have decided that after 30 days they will be erasing all videos 30 days or older from a certain date going back a little bit of time. So we had to figure out a way to preserve those in a second spot, which was the whole idea of starting the YouTube to begin with, because hey, platforms come, platforms go. We've seen platforms in the past that have looked like they'd be around forever, that have went by the wayside. Who knows if Facebook will be around forever? So we needed a second place to house those. YouTube was the perfect place to do that. And so that's why we've tried to get everything we can uploaded over there on our YouTube platform. And yes, the Bob and Barry show started off, Kane, as basically a preview show for Tuesday night. So we could talk about the upcoming guest. And at the time, we were going out 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks with our guest lineup and talking about each one of those shows. And this year, we've cut it back to just the next week, or the show in this season's case, tomorrow night's show, basically, without getting too deep into it, because the Monday show kind of evolved, and Randy came on board and things started changing, and now Phineas is here doing a fantastic job. And so we're more of an information, what's out there in the Claus community that needs to be shared. What is there that's interesting and happening and going on inside the community, and especially within the TNL group. So Bob and Barry, though, was a great show. It ran its course. Barry got sick, and as everyone knows, Barry passed away a short time after leaving the show. But we owe him lots of gratitude for everything he did to help launch the Bob and Barry show and the Tuesday Night Live show, because Barry was the co-host on there too for the run of his time with TNL. So, okay, Phineas, it's been a great show. We had a great weekend.
Yes,
Today,
indeed.
the weather is not bad. It's 83, as we said, outside right now. A little warm, but not too bad. So I've got some work to do this afternoon, and I may try to get out and catch an hour or two of some sunshine if I get this done early enough. So hope everyone has a great week ahead. Thank you, Phineas.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Angela.
We will thank Angela again. That's correct. And we will see everyone. Hey, don't forget Sean's show tonight. Go catch it, 6 p.m. Eastern, Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I get that backwards every time on one. See everyone later.
Have a good night, everybody.